You're watching the estate planning series, Homestead and Exemption Workshop, with Olivia Smith, co-founder of the SR Law Group.
Veterans exemption. We are going to talk about the surviving spouse exemption, the disability exemption, and the appeal process. Many people don't know this, but if there's a discrepancy between what the county feels is the value of your home and what you believe is the value of your home based on market data, there is an appeal process that you can use to potentially lower your taxes. Okay, my name again is Tisha Curry. I'm with the Own Atlanta Group. I'm here in Douglasville, Georgia, and I am with my partner, Miss Olivia Smith.
Yes, with SR Law Group. And for this presentation, Tisha has all of the info, and I'm going to be serving as the moderator. So if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and I will make sure that we get them read and get them answered.
All right, next slide, Neil. So my name is Tisha Curry, and I am going to actually be introducing Miss Olivia.
Yes.
Miss Olivia is a Georgia native and a graduate of Spelman College, where she received a Bachelor of Arts degree in political science. She's also a graduate of the Loyola University New Orleans College of Law. Olivia has been practicing law for 14 years, starting in criminal defense, but transitioning into estate planning, elder law, and probate as the result of a personal family experience. She is the owner and partner of SR Law Group, a boutique law firm that focuses on estate planning, elder law, and probate in the Black community. She's also the co-host of Black Parents Aging, a podcast that helps children of aging parents navigate the changing landscape. Olivia is very active and engaged in her church and community, and she also serves as the Probate and Estates Chair for the Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys and is on the advisory board of Changing How Individuals Prosper, CHIP. Miss Olivia Smith.
Thank you. And I'm going to introduce you, but someone did ask right up front, is this only for Douglas County? And I was typing my response that some are Douglas County specific, but some are for the state of Georgia. And so even if you don't live in Douglas County, there will be information that will be beneficial to you. And I am now going to introduce Ms. Tisha Curry. Tisha epitomizes integrity, energy, hard work, and creative service in every detail of your real estate transaction. As the great-granddaughter of the first African-American real estate agent in the state of Michigan, you can say that real estate runs in her blood. This Michigan native relocated to Georgia in 2005, and she began her real estate career in new home sales and has expanded her business to focus on assisting home sellers. Her specialty is providing the personal touch throughout the sales transaction. Tisha has made a high-level commitment to her real estate education, having been mentored and coached by several of the most highly acclaimed real estate coaches in the industry. Now get ready for all of these degrees, because when I was reading through it, I was like, oh Lord. Okay, she is a graduate of Ignite and Bold through Keller Williams University. She earned her Bachelor of Science degree in Sociology from Western Michigan University. She has a Master of Science degree in Administration from Central Michigan University and a Master of Science degree in Real Estate from Georgia State University. She is a certified new home sales professional and holds the Military Relocation Professional designation as well. Tisha is a former member of the Douglas County Board of Tax Assessors and currently teaches undergraduate studies real estate principles in the Robinson College of Business at Georgia State University. She serves on the Agent Leadership Council as the Social Equity Committee Chairperson at Keller Williams City Side. And with that, I am going to give her the floor as she speaks. If you have questions, please put them in the chat and I will make sure they get answered.
Thank you so much, Miss Olivia. As we talked about today, we're going to talk about homestead exemptions. And what we really want to know is that if you are a homeowner in the state of Georgia, you are entitled to a special exemption if your home is being used as your primary residence. For your property, your special qualifications for a regular homestead exemption is it's a reduction of $2,000 off the assessed value for school taxes and $6,000 off for county taxes. The regular homestead exemption applies to the house owned and occupied by the taxpayer as his or her legal residence as of January 1st, and that's your primary residence. There's only one regular homestead exemption allowed per immediate family member. So that means a husband and wife, a husband and husband, a wife and a wife. If you live together, you can only have one primary homestead exemption. Mobile home owners must own the land and the home to qualify. In the state of Georgia, the law requires that all owned or leased vehicles be registered in the county where the owner claims the regular homestead exemption. So if you live in Douglas County, that means that your vehicle needs to be registered in Douglas County, okay? Any persons applying for the regular homestead exemption must have a Georgia driver's license. So if you're relocating to the state of Georgia from another state, you must update your ID, okay? The regular homestead exemption may be applied for online, or you may be able to go into the office, whichever you prefer. We'll go into what you need to bring with you in a different slide. And you can put your questions in the chat if you have any, okay? Neil, can you mute our folks? And please put yourself on mute. We don't want to know if you're having a personal conversation. There are some additional property tax exemptions, right? One of the major things is wherever your home is as of January 1st, that's when you qualify. That means if you purchased your house last September, you were not eligible for the homestead exemption on that property in 2022. The homestead exemption begins as of January 1st, 2023. So wherever you were residing at that point, you have until April 1st to apply for homestead exemption, and they will automatically renew each year unless there's been a change of ownership or you no longer meet the eligibility criteria for your requirements. Just because you refinance your house does not mean that you need to apply for a new application.
But I will put in right here, literally my only tidbit for this, which is if you've done your estate planning and you have put your house in a revocable trust, you may need to reapply in January for your homestead exemption. So you need to be aware of that. We don't want you to miss out.
Am I breaking up or are we?
I don't know. Did you not hear me?
I heard you.
Okay, good.
If you cannot hear us, please raise your hand.
Let me know. Let me know.
So in addition to your primary residence being qualified for a homestead exemption, there are some additional special qualifications for exemption, okay? The first is if you're 62 years old, there is an exemption for schools. So property owners age 62 or older as of January 1st can apply for a reduction of 100% of the assessed taxes for schools. Individuals qualifying must specifically apply for that exemption after reaching the age of 62. And only one of you needs to have reached the age of 62, not everyone in the home. The next tax exemption is the 65-year-old with annual income of less than $10,000. This exemption allows a reduction of up to $8,000 for county taxes. The requirements include your proof of age, proof that the previous year's net income did not exceed $10,000 per immediate family group, and that would include a husband and wife, a wife and wife. Social Security benefits and retirement do not count towards the $10,000 income limits. I'm gonna say that again. Social Security benefits and retirement pensions do not count towards the $10,000 income limit.
And let me ask, just for practical purposes. So if you turn 62 in June, that year you're not gonna get that benefit. But when the next year, January 1st, you will already be 62, that is when you can apply for the senior benefit. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
So whatever your status is as of January 1st, that's the year in which you can apply for the benefit. The next tax benefit is the disabled person benefit. And this exemption is a reduction of up to half of the assessed value for school tax. The documentation to bring in for this exemption is 2 documents from a doctor and/or from the Social Security Administration. This documentation must state the severity of the disability and that the disability is likely to be permanent and the taxpayer is unable to be gainfully employed. So if you meet the criteria as a disabled person, you're eligible to apply for this exemption. The next exemption we're going to discuss is the disabled veteran exemption. And this exemption provides a reduction of up to $73,768 of the assessed value for the county and school tax. The requirements for this exemption is a letter from the Veterans Administration stating 100% service-connected disability or less than 100% service-connected disability, but 100% compensated. There are also available veteran exemptions for the unremarried surviving spouse or minor child of the veteran who continues to occupy the home as the primary residence. The VA letter must be provided when the application is filed. The next exemption is the unremarried surviving spouse of a member of the armed forces killed in action exemption. This exemption is granted up to $50,000 homestead exemption for the state, county, municipal, and school purposes. The surviving spouse will continue to be eligible for the exemption as long as they do not remarry. Documentation is required from the Secretary of Defense proving spousal benefits. The next benefit is unremarried surviving spouse of a firefighter or peace officer killed in action. This exemption is 100% of the ad valorem taxes. Documentation is required. And the final exemption we're going to discuss today is the City of Douglasville and City of Villa Rica 65-year-old residents. I don't know if many of you know this, but there are 2 separate taxes in Douglas County. There can be the Douglas County taxes only if your home is in the county itself. And there's also the City of Douglasville property taxes if you live in the city. So if you live in the city, you will be paying city taxes as well as county taxes. If you live in the county of Douglasville, you're only paying county taxes on your property. In my particular neighborhood, part of the neighborhood is in the city, part of the neighborhood is in the county. Depending on what area you are in our community, you may be paying both city and county, or you may just be paying county taxes only.
Now, Tisha, is this common throughout? If you live in a city, you wind up paying city tax and county tax, do you know? Or is that specific just to Douglasville?
No, this is statewide. So depending on where you are, so there's unincorporated Douglas, well, we'll say for the sake of conversation, we have unincorporated Fulton. But there are parts of unincorporated Fulton that may have an Atlanta address, but it's not in the city of Atlanta.
Sure.
So the folks that have a Fulton County or an Atlanta address, but are not in the city of Atlanta would only be paying those Fulton County taxes. So it's very similar. So depending on where you are in the state, and how your property is zoned, whether it's in the city or the county, would determine whether or not you're eligible for this tax deduction. So the cities of Douglasville and Villa Rica have separate exemptions for senior property owners with property inside the corporate limits. So these exemptions change over time, so please check with the tax commissioner. There is a tax commissioner for each county in the state of Georgia. And generally, there is a way to make contact with that county tax assessor or the tax commissioner. So even though we're speaking of Douglas County specifically, check with your local municipality to see how these exemptions work. Miss Olivia, can you check to see if we have any questions in the chat?
I don't see any questions. Does anyone have any questions that's on right now?
So Neil, can you go ahead and put the form in the chat box? If you have questions, if you want to know exactly where your property is located, whether it's in the city, whether it's in the county, if you have questions about what you believe your home is worth, many of you will be receiving your tax bill. You can look and see if that assessment is accurate or not. If you'd like to verify that, I'd be more than willing to go over that information with you to look at the values of your home and your neighborhood to see if your tax bill is in line and help you to prepare an appeal if that's appropriate for you. So Neil, can you add that to the chat, please?
Okay, it's added, so you can click the form and fill it out to get more information about your specific property or home.
So pretty much, go ahead, Miss Olivia.
I always got a question.
Wonderful. Go ahead.
So when you were just speaking about how they value the valuation of your home, how is that determined? How do they determine the value of your home, and why would what is an instance where it would be off and you would need to appeal?
So I'll give you an example. There are some neighborhoods in Douglas County where maybe there haven't been a lot of sales, and perhaps someone comes in and they make a bunch of improvements. So they go get an older home and they'll go in and they'll improve the roof, they'll improve the structure, they may add, they may finish a basement. And so you may have a home that was built in, let's say, 1990, and your neighbor's house was also built in 1990, but the neighbor bought the house and they did a bunch of improvements. They did maybe $30,000 worth of upgrades. They've improved the kitchen, they put a new roof on, they've remodeled a bedroom, or, maybe there wasn't a bedroom, something was added. That's going to improve the value of that particular house. When the county looks at sales and they're going to look at the value of the new house, they're going to compare your house to the one that's been upgraded. And so while this house next to you may be very similar to yours, it's been upgraded, so it's worth more in the market. That is why sometimes when we see gentrification in cities like Atlanta, where they say people are being priced out of the market because of taxes, the more homes that are improved in the neighborhood, the more the value of the houses in that neighborhood go up. So even though properties around you may be being improved and remodeled and so on and so forth, yours may not have. And it's not fair necessarily for you to be paying higher taxes on a property that hasn't been improved next to someone who has. And that's why this is very home specific. And so it would be interesting that's why I would take a look at that with you to see what's different about your house. So each time a home sells in Douglas County, it's recorded in the county. And so as the market is going up and prices are rising, the county takes a look at that and see the percentages of a blanket neighborhood and say, over the past year, the homes that have sold have maybe gone up 10%. Let's evaluate that and let's reevaluate the prices in the neighborhood. And was it specific because of remodels? Was it specific because of market sales? There's many different reasons why taxes change.
That's good.
Oh, I got stuck. Okay, good. I can. Do you have another question? Give me another question, Olivia.
I don't have another question.
Okay.
But that one jumped out, and that was a great explanation. I had no idea. That was these magical numbers appear, and it's just like, how did they get these? I don't know.
So it's a complicated system as to how the tax assessors, kind of determine value and how they're going to set the millage rate. That is another conversation for another day. This is really more specific about, we all want to pay our fair share, but no one wants to pay more than what their share is. And so for me, it's not about, or even what we do here at the Own Atlanta Group, it's really evaluation, right? Are you paying your fair share, and is the county charging you more than what's required? And if you're eligible for these exemptions, why not get them? And not only that, but a number of people who buy new homes do not even realize that they can apply for a homestead exemption. So they're paying higher taxes because they're not getting that deduction. So if you or anyone you know buys a house this year or bought a house next year over the past couple of years, just check in with them to verify that they have applied for their homestead exemption and they're receiving it.
I do have another question. You were speaking about the disabled exemption and the veteran exemption and veteran disabled exemption. Is that only, does your name have to be on the deed for you to qualify? Or can someone in the home be disabled and therefore you qualify?
You qualify as the homeowner only.
Okay.
Yes, this is specifically for homeowners.
Got you.
Mm-hmm. So whoever is the home, but what's important about that is, as a homeowner, your name can be on the deed, but it doesn't have to be on the mortgage. So if you and your spouse buy a house and you're not 62, but you finance the house in your name, but your spouse is above 62, but their name is on the deed, then your household qualifies.
That's important. That's an important distinction.
The same is true for the veteran. So the veteran does not have to be the mortgagee, but they do have to be the homeowner and on the deed. Any other questions?
Anything else?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and put my email information in the chat so that you have it available to you.
And I will go ahead while you are doing that and let everyone know that we have another workshop coming up next month on the 16th. And that workshop, we will be talking about tangled titles and heirs property. So I feel like that's more my lane. That's more my lane.
Tell them what that means.
That is like when your granddad owned a home and he passed away and your uncle just moved in and started living in the home, and no one changed the deed, so your grandfather's name is still on the deed, and then your uncle may have passed away and then his children moved in, and we're 3 generations removed from the person who's actually on the deed, and so the actual owners of the home are not on the deed. And as people pass and they have children, the home has more and more owners. So it started with just your grandfather, and now by the 2-3 generations, 10 people own it. So before it gets to like 25 people owning it, you want to make sure that you get that paperwork in order and the rightful owners are on the deed. That happens a lot. And so we will be talking about all things heirs property and the tangled webs we weave when we move into homes, but we don't change the deed.
Awesome. It's all about community education for us, and whatever Miss Olivia Smith and I can do to answer questions so that we can save you from some headaches up the road and save you some money we're here for it. So we want to thank you all for coming out, and hopefully we've provided some information for you. I think we have a question in the chat. Ms. Olivia, can you answer that? If there's anything we can do for you, if you have any questions for us, we will be in contact with you. So thank you so much for registering, and thank you so much for joining us. We got a question. Go ahead, Ms. Olivia.
And the answer is it includes land as well, not just homes.
Can you say the question?
Oh, sorry. Is the workshop that I talked about for February just for homes, or will it include land also? And it includes both.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Ms. Olivia. You have been a fantastic, always with a wealth of knowledge and information. And again, we're here to serve. We live here, we work here, we serve here, and we're here for you. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we will talk to you soon.
See you next month.
Bye-bye, everybody.